Ever since Stellantis set up shop in Malaysia, they wasted no time in bringing a brand new EV player from China into our market. And this move clearly shows they are here to challenge the existing EV brands on our roads. Now, the very first model they've introduced is the Leapmotor C10. This is a D-segment SUV, but here's the catch. It's actually priced lower than many C-segment EV SUVs you'll find in Malaysia. Realistically, the C10 is positioned to compete against heavy hitters like the BYD Sealion and the Tesla Model Y. But the big advantage? It undercuts both of them in terms of pricing by quite a margin. Not too long ago, I had the chance to get behind the wheel of the C10, and I'm going to share my experience with you. But the key question is this: is the attractive pricing enough to convince new buyers? Let's find out. With that, welcome back to Carsick.my for another review video. When it comes to exterior design, the C10 plays it safe. It doesn't scream for attention, nor does it look out of place. It just blends in with the crowd. Perfect for those who prefer not to stand out too much on the road. At the front, you'll notice a clean, conventional look. The large bumper dominates the design, and interestingly, there's no grille at all. To balance the space between the headlights, Leapmotor added a black bar. In some markets, this black bar lights up as a full light bar, but here in Malaysia, that feature isn't available for the local spec. Let's take a look at the rear of the C10. The first thing you'll notice is the full width light bar, a design touch that gives it a futuristic vibe we often see in Chinese brands. To be honest, the rear does give off a Porsche Cayenne vibe, though it's a little more squared off in design, and that's not a bad thing. It actually looks elegant and easy on the eyes. That said, there isn't a whole lot happening here. The tailgate is pretty clean, with just a Leapmotor work mark right in the center, and the C10 badge sitting off to the side. To complete the exterior look, the C10 rides on a set of 20-inch rims wrapped in 245/45R20 tires. The design fits the SUV well, and honestly, there's not much to complain about here. In order to highlight just how high-tech this vehicle is, Leapmotor didn't even give me a traditional key. Instead, I only got an NFC card, which is used to unlock and start the vehicle. Pretty futuristic, right? Keys are actually optional here. But honestly, while it's a cool feature, I'm not sure I'd want to rely on it completely. It does feel a little inconvenient compared to a regular key. For example, with most modern cars, you just walk up to the boot and open it as long as you have the key with you. But here, with the NFC card, you'll need to unlock the car from the side first before you can access the boot. It feels a bit counterintuitive, but I get it. Leapmotor just wants to show off their tech. Let me show you the startup sequence before getting into the vehicle. And as you can see, there are quite a few things that I need to do just to get into my preferred settings. When I first stepped inside the C10, I couldn't help but notice. It immediately reminded me of so many modern Chinese cars we've been seeing lately. Right in front, you've got the usual setup, two massive screens taking center stage, and barely a button inside. is super clean and minimal. To be fair, the colour scheme actually works well here. You get this dark purple trim that adds a nice splash of vibrancy. The catch is, you only really see the purple under bright sunlight. Most of the time, it just looks nearly black. Leapmotor did wrap the dashboard with soft touch materials, which really give the cabin a more premium feel. And speaking of those screens, one's a 10.2-inch instrument cluster, while the other is a big 14.6-inch infotainment display. Definitely brings the high-tech feel to the cabin. Just like many other Chinese vehicles on the market, this instrument cluster keeps things simple. At first glance, it looks big, but the display only shows the most essential driving information. Personally, I think more customization option would make better use of the large screen space. And I really wish Leapmotor had included more trip information here on the cluster, instead of restricting it to the infotainment screen. On the flip side, Leapmotor has packed most of the vehicle settings and controls into the infotainment screen. Yes, the display is crisp and high definition, but the problem is, too many functions are buried inside, and there are no shortcut buttons to get you where you want quickly. Just like the BYD Seal, the C10 places its aircon vent controls deep within the system. Honestly, that feels pretty user-unfriendly, especially when you're on the move. To make matters worse, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay aren't available here, which does affect the C10's overall appeal. On the plus side, you do get a 360-degree camera, which definitely helps when parking. And while the C10 comes with a 12-speaker unbranded sound system, the audio quality is actually good for the price you're paying. Sitting in the driver's seat, the driving position feels decent. You get that slightly raised sitting position you'd expect in an SUV, which also makes getting in and out of the vehicle much easier. The front seats are fitted with soft cushions that make long journeys comfortable. However, the side bolsters aren't very supportive, so these seats are clearly designed with comfort in mind rather than sporty driving. The rear seats are just as comfortable, with a nice reclining angle that lets you relax. There's plenty of headroom and legroom to stretch out, and I really appreciate that the rear bench is full size, giving proper thigh support. Rear passengers also get their own aircon vents, plus one USB-C and one USB-A port to keep their devices charged on the go. Powering the C10 is a single electric motor mounted at the rear, which also makes it a rear-wheel drive SUV. This is the only powertrain option available in Malaysia. It's paired with a 69.9 kWh battery, delivering an estimated 424 km of range on a single charge, based on WLTP standards. And here's a quick look at the performance numbers for the Leapmotor C10. In terms of performance, the Leapmotor C10 feels very much like a typical single-motor EV. It gives you that instant torque for a brisk start, but don't expect the kind of neck-snapping acceleration that pins you to the seat. Instead, the C10 is mainly tuned for comfort and smoothness. On a full charge, Leapmotor claims up to 430 km of range, but in my real-world test, I managed closer to 350 km. Not groundbreaking, but still practical enough for daily use. While the consumption computer showed an average of 15.9 kWh per 100 km, though the real-world range didn't quite reflect that number. Being an older model, charging speed aren't exactly cutting edge. DC fast charging tops out at 84 kW, while AC charging has been upgraded from 6.6 to 11 kW from 2025 onwards. At this price point, though, it's a compromise that many buyers might accept. When it comes to ride and handling, the C10 behaves much like you expect from a Chinese SUV. The suspension is tuned on the softer side, which means you'll notice a fair bit of body roll in the corners. But the good news is that body roll is still kept under control. The steering offers just enough directness to give you the confidence when tackling bends. However, even in sport mode, the steering feels a little too over-assisted. and that does take away some of the overall steering feedback. And to enhance that EV driving experience, the C10 comes with strong regenerative braking. At first, the brakes might feel a little over-assisted when you step on them, which could make passengers slightly uncomfortable if you're not used to it. But give it some time, and you'll quickly learn where the pedal's biting point is. Once you've adjusted, it becomes second nature. As for the physical brakes, they do a fine job for everyday driving. After all, most of the heavy lifting is already handled by the regenerative system. The Leapmotor C10 does come loaded with a full suite of ADAS features, which is definitely a good thing. But just like many other Chinese cars, they can feel a little distracting at times. One thing worth pointing out is that every time you get back into the car, the system automatically switches all the ADAS features back on. Personally, I prefer if the settings just stayed where I left them, but that's something only Leapmotor can fix. Now, let's take a closer look at the ADAS features available on the C10. With the price now dropped to just 125,000 ringgit, the C10 gives you even more reason to consider it. At this price point, you're getting a whole lot of car for the money. In fact, the C10 sits a class above similarly priced models like the BYD Atto 3 and the Proton E-Mas 7. That means you're stepping into something bigger, more spacious, and overall better value. So, if space is at the top of your list, I don't think you'll be disappointed. At this price range, you simply won't find another vehicle offering this much room. Hope you enjoyed this review. Please kindly leave a like and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more review video. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below. To find out more about the Leapmotor C10, head over to our website carsick.my. Hope to see you soon. Bye.